Hey everyone, Airball here, and it's time for our next stop on our Alchemy tour. Today we're taking on Gruul Werewolves, which is a archetype that, even though it couldn't quite get there in Standard, has gotten some significant support in Alchemy. And it's probably one of the best aggro decks that you can be running if you're going to be playing in the Arena Open, which should be today as of the day I'm uploading this video. So we have some old cards that couldn't quite cut it in Standard. So we have Tovolar, Dire Overlord, which is one of the centerpieces of the deck. You essentially get this Tosky, Curious Obsession effect if your werewolves ever get to connect with your opponent. You get to draw a card. And it becomes a 4/4 for 3 if it's nighttime, which is good on its own. So in order to enable Tovolar, we have a bunch of wolves in the deck, some of which we already have in Standard. So obviously we have the All-Star Werewolf Pack Leader to 3/3 for 2. Also gives you card advantage. This one is the centerpiece of the mono green deck. We have 3 copies, excuse me, of Ranger Class, which also creates wolves. So we already have a pretty good mass of werewolves in the deck. And also the Reckless Stormseeker, which can haste up your threats the turn they come into play, which is pretty powerful as well. We're also running the well-known Jaspera Sentinel Magda combo. So if you're not familiar, you play Jaspera Sentinel on turn 1, you're mana dork. You play Magda on turn 2, you get to tap Magda with the Sentinel to create 1 mana of any color, and then when Magda taps, you also get to create a treasure. So you can have a significant amount of mana on turn 2, and every turn thereafter where you get to tap Magda with Jaspera Sentinel, this combination can just run away with the game. So we also have a bunch of new alchemy cards that can that make the difference. We have 4 copies of Tenacious Pup, which is a 1-drop, 1/2 for 1, and when it enters the battlefield, you gain 1 life, which is whatever. And then when you cast your next creature spell, it's going to enter the battlefield with a +1/+1 counter, trample counter, and vigilance counter on it. So the dream curve is, just like in the mono green deck that I showcased the other day, you want to have Tenacious Pup on turn 1, and you want to have Werewolf Pack Leader on turn 2. And that'll give you a Werewolf Pack Leader that's a 4/4 for 2 with trample and vigilance, which is a big beast that's going to be hard for the opponent to deal with. Also have 2 copies of Lupin Harbingers, which is a Foretell card. 4/4 Trample Haste, which is your standard questing beast, Ovenwald Oddity, Shifting Ceratops kind of effect. And the upshot of this card is that when you foretell it, every turn since you foretold it, you get to have it enter the battlefield with X +1/+1 counters on it, for where X is the number of turns it's been foretold for, which is a pretty powerful effect. Doesn't actually come up all that often because by the time you're casting this card, usually the 1 or 2 extra points of damage doesn't matter, and you're not attacking with it too often because it's a finisher. But it can make a difference here and there. Also playing with 2 copies of Rahilda, which is a card that doesn't completely convince me, but it was in the deck that we're playing today that did win, or that did go 7/2 in a large tournament on Melee. It's a 2/2 for Striker for 2. And again, when it deals combat damage to the opponent, you get to exile a non-land card from their library. And then you get to cast it. So it's like a Robber of the Rich effect. It's not super convincing because it doesn't have haste, but if you can flip it to night, then it becomes a double striking 2/2 with the same effect. So that's pretty sweet. So in the sideboard, we have mostly standard cards. So we have an extra copy of Snakeskin Veil to help us in the control matchups. We have 2 copies of Burning Hands, which are pretty good in the mirror and against mono green. Fight spells are the same. 2 copies of Outland Liberator, which is kind of, I think, a must in your green decks to deal with the Key to the Archive decks that are in the format. You really do want to have an answer to that as early as possible, because every turn your opponent untaps with that combo, the worse things get for you. 3 copies of Ravenous Pursuit, which is a new alchemy card. So it's a fight spell. Or bite spell, excuse me, and you get a little extra if you bite small creatures. You get to pump up a creature in your hand with X+X+X perpetually for the rest of the game. So that can be good for punching through little black creatures in the Orzhov control shells, which are otherwise a pretty bad matchup for you. And it can also just be, a decent card in any creature-based matchup as well. Just don't expect to get too much out of the secondary effect. 1 copy of Brittle Blast. Just a 5 damage removal spell. It can be a relevant spell against a bunch of stuff in the format. And also, it can be important to exile opponent's creatures too, like their eye twitches or what have you. Importantly, Old Growth Troll is an example of a card that you would much rather exile than just kill. 2 copies of Choose Your Weapon. So this card is interesting. You can double your... It's a combat trick, so you can double one of your creature's power and toughness until end of turn, which can be a way to force through lethal, sort of like a bad Embercleave effect, if you put it on something that already has trample. and deals 5 damage to target creature with flying, which, you know, is a pretty relevant thing when you have Dragon's decks running all over the format. It can be pretty important to be able to deal with those the turn they enter play. One copy of Vulnerability in the board, of course, to put extra pressure on the opponent. Good against control. And one Avabrook Caretaker, good for dealing with board stalls in the same way that it was with mono green. We don't really have we don't have the Grizzled Harbinger in the deck to fetch these creatures, so these are purely pulls for games 2 and 3. But they are good in the matchups they're good in and bad in everything else. So that's the deck. Let's jump into some games. Okay, so we're here on the draw. Pretty good looking hand, except for, of course, the fact that it's a one-lander and unkeepable. But this is really what we're looking for. This is a very explosive start that I wish we could keep. This is better, in that we have an extra land. Not sure what to keep here, or not sure what to put back. If we're up against control, then the Ranger class will be pretty good. If we're up against creatures, then it's not great. I think the putback is probably the Harbingers, because we're probably going to be tapping out our mana for most of the first part of the game, and if you don't foretell this, then it's just not a very good effect. So we'll bottom that. And depending on what the opponent shows us, we will either play the Ranger class or the Rockfell Vale, the Ranger class or the Rahilda. They show us Shatterskull. Not enough information on its own. Could be mono red. That deck has been making the rounds. No, we're up against dragons. This is right on time, of course. So I think the hope here is going to be that we can get in with Rahilda, maybe? It's tough, right? Like, if opponent just jams a 4-drop dragon, then she's not going to be able to get in. But our Ranger class is not anything super special either, so I think we just need to go for the highest upside play. At least they didn't have the Whelp. Yeah. Okay, that's probably the best case scenario. So what are our options here? We can pump up the Rahilda into a 2/2 double striker, which will trade with the Regent, which is like not the worst. Or we can Tenacious Pup plus Ranger class, and then the Stormseeker comes in bigger next turn, which I kind of like. Yeah, this doesn't double strike yet until nighttime anyway, so we would have to pump this. Yeah, this is no good. Let's play the Tenacious Pup in the Ranger class. And no attacks. We'll have to go a little wider, I think, to get through. Hopefully no, like, Goldspan Dragon here. No, that's pretty good for us, honestly. Opponent's draw is not really coming together. Makes you wonder what these cards are, right? Handraiser Tyrant, sure. I cast another orb, sure. Okay, so opponent's hand is pretty clunky, but they could fix that. Okay, so we miss land. I think the plan here is just going to be to get in with the Stormseeker. I think we'll attack with it. They found Goldspan Dragon. Okay. So we're definitely going to attack with this. Are we attacking with Rahilda? I don't think so. We'll offer this trade. They can dome us for 4 next turn with the Goldspan Dragon, but hopefully that's all they can do. They won't be able to use the treasure quite yet. Getting stuck on mana here, it would suck. And of course, this is why Rahilda is not a super compelling card. It's just really unlikely to ever get in for anything. Yeah, so unfortunately we're just gonna have to take this damage. We can't afford to give up our land. Okay. So we're just gonna jam this and pump up Rahilda here. Force him to make an uncomfortable decision. Now she's a first striker. Okay. We hit Dragon's Fire. That's pretty sweet. We do have a dragon. So we can do 4 damage with something instead of 3. And that looks to be like what we're going to have to do. Interesting to see how they attack. Just with the gold span is fine. No blocks. Can we kill them? We can get in for 2, 4, 5, 9, 11, 12. Depends what they have here. Obviously they have something. Just a whelp. Okay. So we have to be a little fearful of Inferno of the Star Mounts being their last card in hand. That would make their attack very lethal next turn. We would need to keep Helena back to block. Tovolar is nice. So I think we just do need to kill one of these creatures, probably the Townraiser Tyrant, just to maximize damage. And if that's the case, we're going to pump the Ranger class to attack. And I think we just attack with everything. Yeah, and we'll spread out the counters. We want to pump Helena so that it puts more counters on it in the future. Puts more counters on other stuff in the future. It'd be tough for them to do 13 to us, I think. Not impossible. If they play Inferno, a discounted Inferno pump, then they can do 6, 10, 11, 13 exactly. So if that last card was Inferno, I think we're dead. If the one off the top is Inferno, I don't think we're dead. Chandra. Okay, so they're going to need some help off the top, probably. What did they hit? That is Shadow Skull Smashing for up to 2. That's not great. They can attack with Goldspan Dragon. They'll be able to Shadow Skull Smashing for X equals 4, which will not be enough, I don't think. They'll have to kill Helena, and they'll have to attack with Goldspan Dragon to do it. Then they can chump the 4/4, take 5, and they're dead. Yep. Cool. So we got there in game 1. Rahilda did some work there, but I don't think belongs in the matchup. And in a similar way, I don't think Ranger class is great. Probably want our fight spells. Brittle Blast seems reasonable against the dragons. Obviously, Choose Your Weapon is in the matchup exactly for this reason. And anything else not very good? One copy of Oddity is probably a little better than one copy of Harbingers. There is some world where we get to flip it. And I don't think we're going to be... In a game that we win, I don't think we're foretelling that Harbingers card. Okay, I'll give this a try. Okay. That's a pretty good hand, honestly. Like, obviously we're on the draw, so it could just not matter. But this hand is pretty much exactly what we want. They do have the Whelp. So we're probably just playing the pack leader here. And are we attacking? Is there any world where we block with the Sentinel next turn? I suppose there is. And having the extra power on the board to attack later is relevant if we want to draw with the pack leader. So I think we're just saying go. Also, this bluffs Snakeskin Veil for whatever that's worth. Orb, sure. One whiffs on their land again, but the Whelp, every turn it's in play, is like... every turn it's in play is like them playing a land. Okay. So we can play Tovolar and Jam. We can play Helena. If we play Helena, then we don't get to attack with the pack leader, which I think is pretty bad. So let's just get the Stormseeker in play, I think. And let's... if we're going to attack with everything, we might as well also attack with the Sentinel. Because I think now we're trying to race. They give up the Whelp. Okay, so that means that they think that they have enough of a discount off of it already, which means their hand is probably full of dragons, which is pretty bad news for us. So if we draw untapped land next turn, then we play Helena. If we don't, then we probably play Tovolar, possibly Brittle Blast, depending on what happens here. They're land screwed, so Townraiser Tyrant is also pretty appealing. Goldspan Dragon. Okay. So they could play Goldspan Dragon, attack, play another Goldspan Dragon. That would be pretty awful. But no. Inscription of Abundance. It's kind of a cowardly play from them. I think I just want to kill that. So my plan here then is going to be to attack, pump this up, attack with the pack leader, inscription. Yeah, we'll hold full control to do this. Actually, no, I do just want to, I want to kill this like this. I don't want to offer them the opportunity to trade. And we'll try to draw some cards. Pup is, like, fine, I guess. Not attacking with the Goldspan Dragon was interesting there. Makes me wonder what their hand is. That makes sense. Okay. So this is probably... Pop Tyrant. Put pressure on their mana. And get this up to a 5/5. Which can box with most of the things that they can... most of their removal spells. They don't have any 5-power dragons, I don't think, except Inferno. So Dragon's Fire is almost certainly dead against it. And the Tenacious Pup isn't bad either with Tovolar coming into play. Brittle Blast, sure. Opponent's definitely making a game of it. And a Whelp. Yeah. Okay. So... this is probably Tenacious Pup Helena, realistically. Right? Yeah. Now we get 3 +1/+1 counters on this pup. Opponent is just throwing away a ton of material. It feels like they've been on the back foot both games so far. And they do sack the land. Which makes some sense, right? Like, everything in their hand has already been discounted to all hell and back. I'm not really sure what we're scared of. Even another board wipe I don't think would do it. Yeah, nice. So, not a bad showing, although we were up against an opponent that didn't really get to play a whole lot of Magic. But I'll take it, 1-0, on to the next one. Okay, on the play with a bit of a rough hand. A bit of a rough hand. But it's so explosive, I think I have to keep it. Like any untapped green, any other 2-drop feels so good in this spot. I think we have to keep this. And any untapped land by turn 3 is pretty fine too. Alright. It's a little punished. Opponent chose Den of the Bugbear. Alright, so this is it dragons? Sure. Tap land. Okay, this is not really coming together. Want that on green, I think. And am I attacking? I think so. I don't think we win the long game against this, so we have to try to kill them quickly, and obviously our lands not lining up well with our spells is going to make that harder. Yeah, sure. They get the turn 3 Moonveil Regent. Alrighty then. So here we can play the pack leader into the Stormseeker. Taps everything. So instead we want to Stormseeker into the pack leader attack. I think so. Yeah. And if they want to trade, I think we're happy here. One mana Whelp. Okay. They're attacking. Aggressively. Okay. So that feels like they think they've got the kill next turn, and, you know, maybe they do. I don't think there's anything for it but to be as aggressive as we possibly can be here. Obviously, we can't really interact with most of their stuff. I think we'll hold back the Sentinel as a blocker. But otherwise, we're just going for it. This feels like Dragon's Fire. It is indeed. Yep. That could be good. We'll see. There are definitely sequences that leave us dead here, but opponent does have to be a little respectful. We could haste in any big threat on our next turn. Yeah, that's probably the worst case scenario, but it's still only 11. Okay. So now the question is, can we kill them? We have 5 mana, we can do 3 damage. If we're willing to tap something, we can do 4. If we attack, what happens? We can play the Townraiser Tyrant. Can also bolt in the land for whatever good that does. Take 7, and any hasty threat plus the den is going to get them there. So I think we do need to be a little conservative. So I think we have to play this, target the den so they can't attack with it. I think we're just attacking with these two. Okay. All right. So we have two blockers. Seems unlikely that we're dead. I mean, anything's possible, obviously. They bolt that in. That's scary. Imrith. Imrith for 2. Draw a card. So this is a lethal attack, obviously. We can't take it. They can just pump it. We'll see what this last card of theirs is. We have 3/6 mana. We can kill the 4/4. Not sure what to do here. I think I like just trying to go a little wider. Actually, can we attack? How much should we pump this for? We can make it a 4/4. Block, block, they take. Not enough. So we're probably just playing this. Yep, and saying go. It could have been that was wrong. That's a line I'm not totally confident about. Is that lethal? Yes. If they attack with everything, it's lethal. And we're tapped down to double green, so they have no reason not to attack. Okay. So they're giving us a chance. This is still a lethal attack if we don't block because of the Goldspan Dragon. Yeah. So we can power up the lair for how much mana do we have? 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. So it'll be a 5/5. It can be as much as a 6/6 if we want. They block, and the pack leader is not good enough. This takes 4. If we power the lair of the Hydra up to 2, they block. 3. 5 damage is not enough. We have 7 mana. We can Shatterskull, kill the Regent, get in for still just 4. It's not good enough. I don't think we quite have enough. This at least gives us some outs if we can find removal off the top. We cannot. Yep. We are dead. Tough one. The opponent stumbled there, but we just couldn't quite take advantage. Our opening hand was pretty awkward as well. Imrith obviously making all the difference. In the last game, they didn't have any high toughness dragons. This game they do. So Brittle Blast again seems good. Inscription seems good. Choose your weapon seems good. Oddity seems better than Harbingers. Again, I think Rahilda is just never ever getting in, so I'm happy to cut her. Snakeskin Veil seems reasonable. I don't think Outland Liberator is really where I want to be. Like, it can kill the orb, but they can very easily sack it in response most of the time. So 4 more cuts. The Ranger class seems pretty bad against them. Tovolar didn't really impress there either, but maybe on the play he's fine. Maybe on the play Tovolar is fine, but on the draw, Harbingers is better. Okay, on the play with serviceable opening hand. Keep this, and I think we'll play this on green. I think I just want lands. Lands are heavy hitters. That's neither. Okay, so that's a decent start for us, honestly. So, like, maybe we're supposed to... We can play Stormseeker, get in for 6, draw with the pack leader. That seems really good. We can also play Tovolar. I think I like getting the Stormseeker in. Snakes and Veil's an excellent draw. More than happy to keep that up next turn. Okay. So we can either play... we could have either played Townraiser Tyrant or Tovolar there. But I think Tovolar plus Hold Up Snakes and Veil is great. It also allows us to eventually flip it to Night that much sooner. And next turn we'll be able to play the Mountain Townraiser Tyrant and again hold up Snakeskin Veil. This feels like it's a little too late, but maybe not. So we're definitely swinging out. Tenacious Pup, you say? Well, Tenacious Pup definitely makes me more interested in playing Townraiser Tyrant. Like Tenacious Pup plus Townraiser, rather than hold up Snakeskin Veil. Because that's a whole lot of pressure. Yeah, cool. Like, Snakeskin Veil is nice and all, but even if they manage to remove any one of our creatures, which is all Snakeskin Veil would protect, we're still getting in for a boatload the next turn. Yeah, I think I do like what I said earlier about Harbingers being better on the draw than Tovolar. He was really good there. Yeah. Actually, I think I'd rather the Oddity over both of them. We'll give that a try. All right. On the draw, hand is like, okay. I don't think I can send this one back, but I'm not happy about it. Yeah. Games they have the turn 2 whelp are way, way better for them. Games than they don't. Yeah, we'll get in. I think we're racing here, and I think they win the long game. We're the beatdown, and we're on the draw, which is painful. Their stuff is going to come in very cheaply. Okay, but they are kind of mana screwed. Let's see, are you going to kill the Sentinel? I think we're happy if they kill the Stormseeker here. Because it allows us next turn to get the Town Razor down. They chose not to reveal a dragon there, I guess. Which is fine, they didn't have to. But I think that we were a little too late dealing with this whelp, unfortunately. It is night, for whatever that's worth. We play this, and the Sentinel lives, which seems unlikely, then we will be able to play the Townraiser Tyrants. I just think it's really unlikely that it will live, that the Sentinel will live, given how this game has played out. Yeah, I'm just going to play the Tyrant. Sure, so nothing was going to resolve. And did they loot? They didn't. They have no learn cards in their sideboard? Yeah, and all of a sudden this just feels unwinnable, right? So do we hit the den or do we hit the coast? I feel like this game's going to end before the den matters. Let's just try to knock them off blue mana to make it harder for them to cast Emrith. One mana Moonveil Regent is not bad. Are we making this trade? I think the answer's no. Yeah. I think they have another divide by 0. I think we just play this in attack. I want to keep this one in reserve. Yeah, they certainly have divide by 0. If they do, then I think we're dead on board. Almost. Brittle Blast. Okay. And they keep their card in hand. So we're probably dead. Maybe not. Maybe not if they're trading. They can kill Magda? Okay. It's not the worst. I guess I should have played Magda post-combat then. They sack their land. Oh, okay. Snakeskin Veil. Alright. Don't divide me, bro. So we need a lot to go right here. If they have untapped land, then Den kills us. I don't know what this is. It's not a haste creature. It's not a land. It's a fling. Ah, yeah. Okay. That did not feel great. I think I probably misplayed games 1 and 2, but I don't think there was really anything I could do realistically in game 3. Oh well. On to the next one. On the play with a reasonably good hand. We can draw another land, another untapped land. I think we're thrilled. There is the option of just playing the Veil tapped, but I don't think the upside of that is high enough. Like, the upside of this play is just so good. Any untapped land here is just ridiculous, and of course we whiff. Up against Hive of the Eye Tyrant, which is probably a bad matchup for us, I would think. Vampires, okay. Whiffing on land again feels great. Yeah, I mean, I feel like this probably dies, but if it doesn't, then it's our way back in the game. Man, this is going to be tough. Whiff on land again. Okay. Yeah. It may be time for the puppy to die. Let's see. If they double block here, then I think I'm happy to Snakeskin Veil away their stuff. Yeah. Because this Harvester's going to be a problem. And we'll see. If they have an answer to the pack leader, then so be it. Okay. They don't. So hopefully this unlocks things for us. We're going to get another token off the wedding announcement. They probably have board wipes in their deck. So we do want to be a little careful about committing a lot to the board. We just cannot draw land. It's just against our religion. Alright, well, we'll start by drawing our card. Wow. Yeah, it's probably the Ranger class. I am concerned about a board wipe. What do you do? Opponent casts a spell, the player creates a blood token. Okay. That's a big boy. We hit land. Does that matter anymore? I don't know what to do here. We're just so far behind. We're probably supposed to do this. It's probably supposed to be Stormseeker go. And then hope that we hit land off the top, play Helena next turn. Maybe I'm supposed to crack that blood there and just play another Ranger class. Because it would shrink this thing. Yeah, in fact, that's like certainly what I was supposed to do. Maybe not. This is an aggressive attack. It's really scary. That means they've got something else. Yeah, there's the board wipe we were afraid of. And that's probably the ball game. Right. Yeah, I'm fine scooping this up. I don't think we can get there. That sucks. Matchup does feel really, really bad. What do we want against them? We want our hasty stuff. Brittle Blast seems like okay. Ranger class is like medium. Again, Rahilda is just terrible. I think I've boarded her out every single game. Liberator is like not awful against the enchantments. I don't think I want the Pursuit. Snakeskin Veil, like, they don't really have much in the way of targeted removal. Like, I feel like Snakeskin Veil is not super great in the matchup. Maybe it's just supposed to be bring in the Liberators and cut the Snakeskin Veils. Something like this. Choose your weapon is, like, can hit the flyers, but it's not anything super special. It's really expensive. Let's try this. Alright. We'll lead on green in case we draw Pack Leader. Find Liberator. That's kind of one that I want to hide. And we'll play Magda, I think. Wow, do you have, what's it called? The Spikefield Hazard? You sure do. Must be nice. Yeah, we'll just play this. Okay, this gets in. Could have sworn it was going to die. Okay, so they found Blood Artist. It probably feels pretty good for them, although we are going to get to Helena here. The sequencing matters here. You want to make sure that the Helena trigger resolves after the Stormseeker trigger. Arena does handle this properly, so you don't need to worry. But Helena adds counters proportional to its power, so obviously you want to pump its power first before that trigger resolves. They're just blocking with the Blood Artist, which is interesting. Not sure what to make of that. Probably means they feel like they're under a bunch of pressure, and they're right. Meathook Massacre doesn't do it here. They could have, like, removal spell. That would suck. Yep. Okay. So we can play Oddity, pump it with Helena. We can play Liberator, pump it with Helena. Which I think I like more. Because this way, if they target it, then we can sack it in response and get rid of the brushstroke at least. And if they deal with our board here, then at least we'll have the Hasty Oddity next turn as a follow-up. Right of Oblivion targeting Helena, that's fine. So if we draw untapped land here, I think we're kind of happy. Or that. That's pretty good, right? Because now this will be a 6/6, and if they wipe our board, then we'll get through for the last 4 points of damage. And it puts this out of Meathook Massacre range. Also, if they Meathook Massacre, then we can kill it with the trigger run stack, at least, so they don't gain the life. Wedding announcement. So wedding announcement will create a 1/1. Am I willing to trade this 6/6 for that 1/1? I think the answer is no. So I think I'm fine letting this resolve. Okay. Now we're just going to get in, I think. And we'll put the counters on the tramply thing. And we'll have the Lair of the Hydra in reserve if they manage to wipe the board. Deadly Dispute, I don't think is going to do it. They need to find a kill spell. They don't. Nice. On to game 3. So anything we want to change on the draw versus on the play? I don't think so. I think I like it exactly as it is. Yeah. Like we're the beatdown being on the draw is going to be an issue. This matchup feels fine, honestly. It's probably one of our worst matchups, but it still feels okay. It's just we didn't draw any lands in game 1. We do have the pup into backleader curve, though. Are we sacrificing this? Okay. So that's good for us. That means the pack leader will at least live through our turn. Pass summoning. Okay. Yeah, that's not ideal. So next turn we can pop into Magda. This does not kill this, which is a little annoying. But if they attack with it, then I think we're pretty happy. We are going to have to make a push here, though. That is brutal. Holy shit. Well, I think that just loses the game, unfortunately. I didn't think to play around this. Yeah. Yeah, this feels pretty awful. Maybe I'm supposed to keep in the fight spells to deal with this. Like, 6 toughness is really a lot. I'm not sure that we can beat this either. Yeah, I mean, I guess. I don't think we're going to have the time to use 2 bloods. Might as well kill one of our own. Yeah. Being on the play is nice. You are late. Um, this thing tramples as well. This is gross. We have to be careful with the number of spells we cast, too. We're like practically dead. Yeah, I don't think, in retrospect, I don't think foretelling this and playing the pack leader was right. But the truth is, we just don't have an answer to this 5/6, and maybe I'm supposed to bring it in. Hmm. Yep, and we are dead on board. Nice. Okay. Kind of a crappy game, but what are you gonna do? The deck feels a little underpowered. Obviously, our draws were not super great. We had to mulligan many times today. I'm not sure exactly how many, but it felt like half of our opening hands were mulligans, and it just felt like we didn't have quite enough punch. When we were on the play and we were ahead, it felt like we had an overwhelming grip on the game. Like Stormseeker plus Helena felt really good. Downraiser Tyrant on 3, when you were able to pull it off, felt really good. But Rahilda felt like a terrible card in the creature matchups, which, in fairness, is all we played against today. The Ranger class felt like a terrible card in the creature matchups, which is all we played against today. And the Snakeskin Veil wasn't as good against the anti-creature stuff that we ran into in Game 3, Match 3, because it relied heavily on the board wipe effects. And Path of Peril, obviously, was just a killer card. If they didn't have that, then maybe we would have gotten there. We had a pretty wide board. I wasn't playing around it. I was expecting Meathook Massacre instead. So, yeah, I mean, I feel like this deck did not quite get enough from Alchemy. I think this Harbinger's card is just not very good. I think I'd rather just have the Oddity in every situation. I like having to pay 6 to cast this is unacceptable. Downraiser Tyrant, obviously a sick card. Tenacious Pup is another card that has not really impressed me. Because if they can deal with whatever you pump with it, then it's just a crappy 1/2. It's a little better when you have these two cards in your deck because the body actually leaves some value behind when they kill the thing that you pump, but it still feels really low impact. Okay, so that's the deck. Thank you very much for watching. Make sure you leave comments in the video, in the comment box below, to let me know how you think I'm doing. I want this content to be good for you guys as much as I want it to be fun for me to make. So if you guys have any suggestions, I'd love to hear it. Yeah, that's it. I'll see you guys next time.